UFC 200, a landmark event in MMA history. Introduction: UFC 200 took place on July 19, 2016 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. This event was highly anticipated and marked a significant milestone for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Originally, UFC 200 was supposed to be held be the rematch between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. However, due to various circumstances, the card was reshuffled multiple times, leading to a new set of main and co-main event. Despite the change, UFC 200 delivered a night of memorable fights, history moments, and significant achievements in the sport of mixed martial arts. The build-up occurred reshuffling the initial announcement of UFC 200 created tremendous excitement amongst MMA fans. Conor McGregor, one of the sport's biggest stars, was set to face Nate Diaz in highly anticipated rematch after their first encounter at UFC 196, where Diaz handed Conor McGregor his first UFC loss. However, contract dispute and McGregor's decision to retire temporarily from the sport led to his removal from the card. As a result, the UFC had to reorganize the card, which saw several changes. John Jones was set to fight Daniel Cormier in a light heavyweight title unification bout. Unfortunately, Jones was pulled from the event just days before due to failed drug test. Anderson Silva stepped in on short notice to fight Cormier in a one-title bout, and Brock Lesnar, a former heavyweight champion, made his return to the octagon after a 5-year hiatus to face Mark Hunt. The main event, Misha Tate versus Amanda Nunes. The main event of UFC 200 featured Misha Tate defending her UFC Women's Bantamweight title against Amanda Nunes. Tate had captured the title early that year by defending Holly Holmes, and this was her first title defense. Amanda Nunes, known for her striking power and aggression, entered the fight with confidence and determination. From the opening bell, Nunes dominated the bout with her striking, landing significant punches that hurt Tate. Nunes' relentless attack forced Tate to the ground, where she executed a rear naked choke, forcing Tate to tap out the first round. With this victory, Nunes became the new UFC Women's Bantam Heavyweight champions and marked the beginning of the region as one of the most dominant fights in women's MMA. Notable fight and performance. UFC 200 featured a stacked card with several notable fights and performance. Brock Lesnar and Mark Hunt. Brock Lesnar return to the octagon was a major talking point leading up to UFC 200. Lesnar, a former UFC heavyweight champion and WWE superstar, faced the heavy-hitting Mark Hunt. Lesnar used his wrestling skills to control Hunt on the ground, earning a unanimous decision victory. However, the win was later overturned to a not contest. due to Lesnar failing a drug test. Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva in a non-title bout. Light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier faced former middleweight champion Anderson Silva. Cormier utilized his wrestling to control Silva throughout the fight, securing a unanimous decision victory. Despite the short notice, Silva showed his resilience and skill, making it a competitive fight. Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar. This interim flyweight title fight was a rematch between two former champions. Aldo showcased his striking and defensive skills, earning a unanimous decision victory over Edgar. With this win, Aldo set himself up for rematch with Conor McGregor. Cain Velasquez versus Travis Brown. Former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez returned to the octagon after a long layoff to face Travis Brown. Velasquez dominated the fight with his striking and wrestling, earning a first round to victory. The Impact to UFC 200 was a landmark event that showcased the UFC ability to deliver high caliber fight and adapt to unforced change. The event set a new record for the highest attendance at the T-Mobile Arena, with an audience of over 18,000 fans. It also generated significant pay-per-view, reflecting the growing popularity and mainstream acceptance of MMA. The success of UFC 200 reinforced the UFC position and the premier organization in MMA and demonstrate its capacity to produce memorable events that captivate a global audience. The event also highlighted the depth of talent in UFC, with multiple champions and top contenders delivering standout performance. The legacy of UFC 200 is defined by its historic significance and the memorable moments it produced. Amanda Nunes' victory marked the beginning of her dominance in the women's bantamweight division. The return of Brock Lesnar, despite the controversy, added intrigue and spectacle to the event. The performance of fighters like Jose Aldo and Daniel Cormier further solidified their place among the sport elite. UFC 200 is remembered as a milestone event that elevates the sport MMA to a new height. It demonstrates the UFC ability to overcome change and deliver an unforgettable night of fight. The event success paved the way for future landmark events and continue the UFC growth as global sport organization. Question and answer. What were the initial plans for the main event UFC 200 and why did it change? The initial plan for UFC 200 was to have Conor McGregor face Nate Diaz in a highly anticipated rematch. However, due to contract dispute and McGregor's temporary retirement, he was removed from the card. This led to multiple reshuffles, with John Jones versus Daniel Cormier becoming the new main event before John Jones was pulled due to failed drug test. Ultimate, the main event featured Misha Tate defending her bantamweight title against Amanda Nunes. How did Amanda Nunes secure her victory in the main event of UFC 2000? Amanda Nunes secured her victory in the main event to UFC 200 by nominating Misha Tate with her striking. From the opening bell, Nunes landed significant punch that hurted. She continued her relentless attack, forcing Tate to the ground, where she applied a recurring choke. Tate typed out in a first round, making Nunes the new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion. 3. What was the significance of Brock Lesnar return to the octagon at UFC 200? Brock Lesnar return to the octagon at UFC 200 was significant because it marked his comeback after a 5-year hiatus. Lesnar, a former UFC heavyweight champion and WWE superstar, faced Mark Hunt, despite winning the fight via unanimous decision. The victory was later overturned to a not contest due Lesnar failing a drug test. His return added intrigue and spectacle to the event, drawing significant attention from both MMA and WWE fans. How did the UFC adapt to the change and challenge leading up to UFC 200? The UFC adapted to the change and challenge leading up to UFC 200 by reorganizing the card multiple times. When Conor McGregor was removed from the event, the UFC initially scheduled Jon Jones vs. Daniel Cormier was the main event after Jones faced drug test. Anderson Silva stepped in on short notice to fight Cormier in a non-title bout. Despite this change, the UFC delivered a stacked forgot with notable fight and performance, ensuring the event's success. 5. What is the legacy of UFC 200 in the history of UFC? The legacy of UFC 200 in the history of the UFC is defined by its historic significance and the memorable moments it produced. Amanda Nunes' victory marked the beginning of her dominance in the women's bantamweight division. The return of Brock Lesnar, despite the controversy, added intrigue to the event. The performance of fighters like Jose Aldo and Daniel Cormier further solid their place among the sport elite. UFC 200 is remembered as a milestone event that elevates the sport of MMA and demonstrates the UFC ability to overcome change and deliver unforgettable fight.